organizer and our national pipelines organizer, and we spend a lot of our time answering the calls of our fellow Indigenous brothers and sisters across Turtle Island who are fighting against these extractive projects that are happening in their backyard. And it's really frustrating to see because a lot of times these industries have a chokehold, an economic chokehold on the communities themselves. The fact that a lot of our people have been pushed onto reservations that don't have easily accessible resources, that we don't have the funding to be able to take care of ourselves and our children, means that a lot of times we become desperate and we turn to whatever seems like the easiest profit, and a lot of times that ends up being fossil fuels. And then you end up in this abusive relationship with them and you can't get out, and it's just a cycle of being taken advantage of. So we try to go to those Indigenous communities and we try to educate them on how they can continue to support themselves without having to be involved with these extractive industries. And the thing that is sort of terrifying that we're starting to see is that it's not just fossil fuels, but it's also turning into rare earth minerals, which would be used for things like solar energy, or we're looking at hydro energy, and all of these things would just be another iteration of an extractive system, and that is the opposite of what we're trying to do, which brings me back around to our Indigenous just transition that talks about addressing our system rather than trying to just recreate what is already done and taking advantage of the land and of the people. I lost my train of thought. One of the really awesome tools that my program has been working on recently that we've been trying to speak with our communities about has been this initiative that it's got a really long, complicated name. No one's going to remember. It's the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, which is a really complicated way of saying stop fossil fuels now. And it's based on the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which was enacted some decades ago in a way that laid out clearly for countries who are part of the UN a way to take care of the world and also its people. So the three main pillars of this fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty is the first pillar is non-proliferation, which means basically that we're going to stop planning all of these future projects around fossil fuels. So that would mean stopping, I can't believe we're still fighting this, so stupid. The Dakota Access Pipeline, which is still being talked about now, and others like the Mountain Valley Pipeline. So those are still being built, but they aren't currently in action at the moment. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is to stop all current working projects. So then that's the second step, is making sure that we aren't using any of the current oil and gas and coal projects that are going right now. And along with that comes the third pillar, which is what we're talking about, a just transition, just and equitable transition to clean and renewable energy. And the reason why this project is so awesome is that when they're talking about this just transition, they've really thought deeply about how to make sure that we're taking care of the people who are most affected by all of these extractive projects. And so they do not support energy like nuclear, which is not considered clean energy by the initiative, and it's not considered clean energy by and they're also basing a lot of their just transition on how we can really focus on uplifting and enacting Indigenous rights and our sovereign rights, because I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Yeah, it's awesome. Unfortunately, the U.S. does not enact that. Yep, do not like it, do not want it, it's not a thing here in this country. So that is something that the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative would, that's okay, okay, I'm done. I'm kidding. Yeah, so it's not recognized here, but with the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, it would, as a tool to be used, a mechanism within the United Nations framework would require that any country that is going to sign on to this treaty would also officially recognize the rights of Indigenous peoples, which is super important, and I'm really proud to see that that's something that they're hoping to get through the UN process. It's been an initiative that's been happening for like 3 years now, and they have gotten some of the small island nation states, places like Fiji and Micronesia and all these islands that are Indigenous-led, the people who are on the front lines and are seeing the water rise in their backyards and watching their homes destroyed by the increasing number of natural disasters. They're the ones who are pushing now in the UN this idea of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, because they're the ones who are able to say this is not a climate crisis that is going to happen to us in decades from now. It's something that's happening to us right now, and it's something that has been happening to us for the past few decades. And it's really empowering to see that the first few countries that came forward within the UN and said this is something we want to do came from majority Indigenous countries. And that's really awesome to see, because it just speaks to the power of Indigenous sovereignty and of our culture. And also, it's really powerful to know that even though they're the ones who are affected and such a dangerous level, that they're also the ones who are still able to see like the source of where these natural disasters come from. It's from fossil fuels, and so we need to go to the root of the problem, and we need to make sure that that's something that we're trying to stop at the root, because none of our meaning like the governments and other industries who currently lead our country. Our country is led by money. Anything that they are touting as a climate solution, we're now able to see it as what it is, which is a money grab and a land grab. And so I urge y'all to look up the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative. I really wish I had not forgot all of my brochures on my way over here, but I did. But you can go to our website and you can find it at ienearth.org. You can also go to their website, the fossilfueltreaty.org, and then if y'all have any questions, you can come find me after this. Thank you.